candidate for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message because for me, it's never been about titles. It's about standing up for hardworking Arizonans like you.
Paid for by Gallego for Arizona.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
J.D. Hayworth here, and the road to feeling better leads to my good friends Dr. William and Ava Gaspar at Beehive IV Wellness in Chandler. With both licensed nurses and physicians on staff by appointment or walk-in, Beehive IV Wellness takes a holistic, naturopathic approach that helps your body with self-healing. All of today's popular treatments are available at Beehive Wellness, from IV hydration to joint injections, even popular semaglutide for weight loss. If you haven't tried IV treatment, you're missing out on your chance to really get healthy. So look them up, make an appointment, or simply walk into Beehive IV Wellness at their Chandler clinic, where you always get a free initial consultation. Mention me, J.D. Hayworth, get half off your first treatment. Search Beehive IV Wellness on your mobile phone. You'll thrive with Beehive.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM. Wherever you go, take us along. Listen to our live stream on our free Fanatic app. Download it today.
And here we go on a Monday afternoon. You're listening to Beat the Book here on 1580 The Fanatic, broadcasting live from the Harmon Solar Studios in sunny uptown Scottsdale. Like a couple of clouds in the sky. But that's not going to stop anything for us because we've got a lot of football to get to. It is Monday night. You know what that means? We've got Monday Night Football here on 1580 The Fanatic. Jets, Bills, they're doing battle a little bit later today. We'll get into that. Moving forward, we'll also talk about some of the highs and lows of the weekend. We'll get to a little bit of ASU football. Sun Devils pulling off the upset on a Friday night. Kenny Dillingham in the postgame. Sounded pretty awesome. But before we get to those things, well, first off, you're on the text line, 888-368-1580. We had the sport trade contest, which went how it went, because the Cardinals did what they did. We'll talk about that too. But before we get to any of those things, Dylan, who powers the show?
We are sponsored by Sport Trade, and make sure you download the Sport Trade app, get your account set up, and load it up with some money to use for this game tonight. This is going to be a really great one to bet when you've got Aaron Rodgers going up against Josh Allen. Lots of good picks have been posted for this. Make sure you check out the Beat the Book website. You can get there by following me on Instagram. The account is at Beat the Book Fanatic, all spelled out. Just click the link in the bio. That'll take you right to the page that has all of the picks. You can also get there through the 1580.com website. Just scroll down and click on the Beat the Book with Dylan Cohen logo, and that'll take you right to the same place to see all of the picks that I post Monday through Friday. And when you set up that Sport Trade account, make sure that you use promo code 1580 to take advantage of the 10% cashback new sign-up promotion that they've got going on. You definitely don't want to miss out on that. And Keon, you just kind of mentioned it there a little bit. I think it only makes the most sense to get things started off, just kind of capping off some of the best things that happened over the weekend, some of the worst things that we saw. There was plenty of good and bad to go around. So I think starting with ASU makes the most sense. That was certainly the highlight of the sports betting weekend. If you're local here in Arizona. ASU had number 16 Utah in Tempe Friday night. That was a primetime matchup on ESPN. And it's just awesome to see this group of Sun Devils. It almost seems like every single time, that they have a game that's primetime in the spotlight, you have a ranked team coming to town and a chance to just try and step, your profile up. I mean, let alone step your game up. But there's bigger impacts that come into play when you've got the kind of stage that you have, and then you rise to the occasion and you get the job done. And that's what Kenny Dillingham is doing right now in Tempe with the ASU Sun Devils. Keon, I'm not sure if you have the audio quite right.
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay, great. If you haven't seen this yet, Kenny Dillingham, I mean, for as great of a coach as he is, he does an excellent press conference, and he has excellent interactions with the media, and you just see how amped up this guy is and how passionate he is about Sun Devil football. And as a alumni of ASU, I certainly love to see that out of my football coach. I think that was something that was kind of lacking a little bit with the last regime. So
one of many things that were lacking. Yeah, I mean, but Kenny Dillingham is a ball of energy, and the guy just gets up for every occasion, every moment. And when you're talking to the media after a very big win, look, Utah's the number 18 team in the country, and ASU finished or voted to finish last in the Big 12. Knock them off. At some point, the heads have to start turning towards ASU football and to this man, Kenny Dillingham, who you hear him talk, you want to run through a brick wall for him.
Or let alone just, celebrate a, storm the field, celebration with the actual coach of the team that won. Because if you went to ASU and you happen to be on at that game and you stormed the field with the rest of the students, that's exactly what you got to do. And, ESPN front and center, is able to just show Kenny Dillingham having an awesome time with the students. And then we got a nice little gem in the press conference after the game.
Yeah, here it is. Kenny Dillingham telling you what to do with your money if you bet on the Sun Devils to win more games than the 4.5 that was put out there.
We were picked to win 4 games this year. So a lot of Sun Devil fans obviously picked the over in Vegas, right? For those of you guys who won, put that money back into the collective, right? Because you get to celebrate these wins. You get to have another cold one with your friends. You get to have great Saturday nights. That should be enough for you already. Take that money that you won, put it back into these kids, put it back into that collective, right? And let's enjoy the rest of the year.
Now, this is something that Kenny Dillingham has kind of mentioned a couple of times before, but it carries a little bit more weight when you win because he's a guy coached in the SEC. Was a quarterback's coach at Auburn. What those people do in the South, if you want to know why the SEC is always on top, why their teams, it's not mostly media bias. What it is a group of people who are crazy about college football, who take their money and they put it back into that school every single time. And if you're serious and you're Bama and you're Georgia and you're Auburn and you're Florida and you're Tennessee, then we see the results of that out on the field very frequently. And I think that Kenny Dillingham is trying to get that same spirit out here at ASU, because if he can get it, that's going to be the best team in the Big 12.
I think my favorite part about that is just that, like, Kenny Dillingham is a realist. He's not coaching in a vacuum. He's not going to pretend like people are not wagering on the outcomes of these games or, wagering on, how well ASU football is going to do this coming season. He's very aware of it. He's willing to embrace it. And that's the exact kind of message that you have to project now in this day and age in college football where, money is a factor. NIL is a factor. How much you can pay your players is going to impact, the overall product that's on the field. So good on Kenny Dillingham, just to be so willing to be, just open and honest and real about his intentions and, what he wants to see for the Sun Devil football program. Just really, really inspiring stuff. Outside of that whole ASU victory, there were definitely some other bright spots throughout the weekend. I'll just kind of shout out some things here. Keon, I don't know if you happen to put any bets down on that Oregon and Ohio State football game. Just as someone that didn't have an actual stake in the game and could watch it objectively, that was just a fun game to watch.
Yeah. Ohio State football tends to be fun to watch, but whenever they play some of these physical teams, the challenge that they have to kind of figure out how to overcome makes them look better. It actually makes them better, which is good because, they haven't played anybody this year. Oregon was the first actual team that they were playing. And quite frankly, that game was closer than I thought. I thought Oregon was going to put them to sleep, not early, but I didn't think it was going to be down to the wire kind of a kind of game like that. I thought this was going to be kind of one where, Oregon gets in front and then just kind of holds Ohio State behind them because of how physical it is that they play. But Ohio State did answer the bell a little bit. Just just finished
Well, and
finished very poorly.
Well, and speaking of that finish, I mean, it really looked like it was shaping up to just be a very generic, like, okay, OSU's going to just, go into game management mode. They're down 1 point. They only need a field goal. They've got plenty of time on the clock. They just got to work the offense up close enough, get in that field goal range. And they were pretty much doing that. But OSU quarterback Will Howard just tried to get a little bit more distance with the clock winding down, and he was able to get a sneak out of the pocket, goes to slide. By the time he slid, clock hit triple zeros, and that was it. So literally just a matter of seconds. If he happens to slide just a second earlier, then perhaps Ohio State is able to take a shot at trying to win. Instead, they don't even get that chance. Oregon ends up winning. So that was a really cool one to see. Other than that, we had a couple of rookie quarterbacks debut in the NFL yesterday. This was something we talked about a little bit last Friday. And I mean, truthfully, we didn't really have the highest expectations for these guys. They were coming in, pretty difficult spots to have your very first NFL game ever. And in both cases, these guys ultimately lost the game. But Drake May for the Patriots, Spencer Rattler for the Saints.
They looked all right. I mean, especially Drake May. I thought Drake May was in the worst position of any young quarterback starting on the weekend. And I thought he was in the worst position of any quarterback getting drafted this year, to be honest. I mean, the Patriots have a nightmare scenario of a lack of weapons, an offensive line that's insanely bad, and a coach that's doing this for the first time. I mean, Gerard Mayo has done a good job. I will give him his credit there. But like this is his first time doing this. And I just thought, wow, all of those things going for one rookie, I don't know that this is the spot you want to start him in. And then to add to the fact that it's a DeMeco Ryans defense, and we've already seen what DeMeco is capable of doing. You look at Danielle Hunter on that defensive line. You look at Will Anderson Jr. on that defensive line. Derek Stingley on the backside of that defense. Like there is so much talent on that team, on that Houston team. And don't get me wrong, that Houston defense did eat. They got a couple of interceptions. They got a fumble recovery. They scored a touchdown. They had a good day. But in all of the lows for Drake May, there were some highs. The 3 touchdown throws, I thought that he really looked confident in the pocket. He could move really well. He's solid. He's a solidly built human being. That's not an easy kid to tackle. I just really like Drake May's start. Rattler looked good as well. There was a time in the NFL where the guys that were coming from college, it just felt kind of hopeless, where you're just like, none of these guys are working out. You just got Winston and Mariota are kind of a miss. And, Paxton Lynch was a first round draft pick, and Josh Rosen. And, like the list goes on and on of just guys in this one window of time. You're like, wow, everybody here sucks. And now the quarterbacks that are being drafted, it almost doesn't matter who. Caleb Williams is figuring it out. Jaden Daniels looks really good. Drake May off to a really good start. Bo Nix looks okay. He looks all right. He looks solid. The rookie quarterbacks of this past class actually living up to the hype so far.
Well, and Spencer Rattler, for me, I was honestly very impressed. I know second half of his game, really wasn't a whole lot of offense going for the Saints, but they managed to hang with the Bucs in the first half of that game. The Saints put up 27 points in the second quarter alone. And they were leading at halftime, 27-24. Spencer Rattler threw for 243 passing yards, had 1 passing touchdown, a couple of interceptions. But I mean, considering where for Rattler and for May, where both of their passing yard props were, and how they ended up performing, both of them very easily cleared the overs. So that was something I definitely did not see coming. If Rattler in particular is going to get a little bit more time to show his stuff, I think the Saints must have seen enough from him yesterday to buy in at least a little bit more and be like, okay,
I mean, Carr is going to be out for a while, so you may as well just keep rolling with Rattler and see what you have. And he played with a lot of confidence yesterday, which, just for a rookie, that's not exactly easy to do, to go up against a heated rivalry, a guy in Todd Bowles that likes to specifically pick on rookies. Like, that's just his thing. And for Spencer Rattler to come out slinging, that just no conscience at all. He just was willing to throw the football. And I in a game that big, good for him. And he didn't get much, work in the second half, but a lot of that had to do with the Saints offense just couldn't stay on the field long enough. And at a certain point, where the Buccaneers have nearly 500 yards of offense, like it was one of those days.
Yeah. And that's where it's like, Baker Mayfield and Chris Godwin have one hell of a connection.
It's up there as one of the best QB wide receiver duos in the entire NFL right now.
So I mean, I don't even hold that so much against the Saints because just about any team is going to have a tough time with those two, unless your name is Sean Payton and you've just got, the Bucs number. But wanted to shift the conversation over to some of the bad stuff of the weekend. Unfortunately, there was a number of bad things that happened. First and foremost, our Arizona Cardinals had a tough game yesterday in Green Bay, taking on the Packers. They ended up losing 34-13. Marvin Harrison leaves the game early with a concussion, and it was just one of those spots where, I mean, we've seen Kyler Murray for long enough now. You get this inconsistency with him where, last week in San Francisco, we got game manager Kyler stepping up in all the chaotic moments, pulling off the throws and the plays that you need to be able to stay in the game and have a shot at winning and just being the leader that you want out of that quarterback position. And then all of a sudden next week in Green Bay, you don't get any of that stuff. And we're falling back to, is this the guy that's just spending all of his time playing Call of Duty and, not doing the things that he needs to do off the field to make sure that he's prepared to be on the field and give it his all? And,
I don't want to necessarily speculate as to why he's not performing well. Like maybe it's Call of Duty again, but maybe he's just an inconsistent quarterback. Like maybe this is just who he is. Because when you look at the games that the Cardinals are absolutely supposed to lose, he wins those. And then here's a game in Green Bay where I don't think people were picking the Cardinals, but I think it was pretty clear that Green Bay defense, you can get that defense, at certain spots. There are ways that you can attack that defense and get chunk yardage, explosive plays. And we've seen other teams do it. You assume the Cardinals, the way that offense has looked so far this season, they could do it. No, they didn't. They weren't able to do that. And it showed. And it's got to be one of the more frustrating things about this team is just they seem to get up for the games where no one thinks they're going to win. They get up for that Rams game. I know the Rams were hurt, but people really didn't think the Cardinals were winning that game. They got up for the San Francisco game. But a game like Washington, at the time, that's a game you should have been prepared to play. They didn't even show up for that one. And then, they got up for the Buffalo game. They lost it. But those games where it looks like on paper you're supposed to count out the Cardinals mentally, because it's not just a Kyler thing. It kind of is the whole team. Mentally, they seem to be on fire for the games they've got no chance to win. And then the games where you're like, okay, you can compete with this Packers team. Absolutely not. Just not ready to show up. The big plays aren't there. The ability to be consistent moving the football down the field, that's not there. And the team just falls apart way too often. It's very strange. And I don't know what the solution to it is. Maybe the solution is a new quarterback. I mean, you're getting to that point now where you could have seen enough of Kyler Murray. This is what he is. And either you think you can build a team around that or you can't.
Well, and with, what we're seeing out of rookie quarterback play, between the guys that got drafted this year, last year, with who's on the horizon, it's really difficult to, not have that in the back of your mind of, it might just be time to move on and wipe the slate clean and try someone else. Cause we've seen how well that this can work out. And if the best that we're going to get out of the Kyler Murray era is a first round playoff exit, that's just not anything that anyone wants to sign up for.
Yeah. And you shouldn't. The thing with Kyler and this team and why it works right now is just because he does have so much money left on the contract and they're not that close to being as competitive as they want to be, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So you're just going to, ride it out with Kyler and then try and get this rebooted Cardinals team where you're getting younger talent in to kind of line up with when you're ready to move on and get another quarterback. Because the last thing you want is to get a guy that's really young playing with a bunch of other guys who are really young. You kind of have to have that blend of veteran presence, young guys that have a lot of talent that know what the coaching staff wants of them, and then the quarterback being on that same timeline helps a lot too. So I think that the Cardinals can figure out something to do here, but I was high on Kyler at the beginning of this season. So, trust me, no one's more disappointed than me to see him go out there and look at times like a new and improved Kyler Murray, and then at other times look like the same old Kyler Murray. The roller coaster. You just can't consistently win football games with a quarterback you just can't trust. By the way, Sir Drives a Lot on the text line says, time to trade him. 11 wins. Pfft, had me fooled. So a little bitterness there from a Cardinal fan, but I get it. I really do.
Well, and speaking of that Cardinals game, we did have a contest that was going on. We had Alex Kane, who is the CEO of Sport Trade, on this show last Friday to just talk about what it was going to take to win the $100 Amazon gift card and $50 to Sport Trade in betting credit. And we did get a number of submissions for that, and we are going to reveal who won the contest on the next segment here. So make sure you stick around for that. The implied probability percentage for the Cardinals at halftime of that game against the Packers was 11%. So that was their expected chance to win at halftime. They were down. Wasn't looking good. They obviously didn't win the game. So that was the magic number. So stick around. When we come back, we're going to announce who the lucky winner is of the gift card and Sport Trade betting credit.
And I will say this, a lot of y'all were wrong, and CK is not winning again. So we'll figure out who actually did win on the other side. They beat the book here on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Championship weekend is coming back to the desert. 4 title races in 3 days means there will be a buzz in the air all weekend long. NASCAR Championship Weekend at Phoenix Raceway, November 8th through the 10th. Get your tickets now at phoenixraceway.com.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Let's say you've got questions. You're looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Well, Harman Solar has the answers. Hi, I'm Jeffrey O'Brien, and listen, there's a couple of ways you can go here. One, visit harmansolar.com, browse around, because right across the page, they got links to all sorts of great information, like frequently asked questions, equipment, tax credits, even testimonials. Or just give them a call, 800-281-3189. Ask them directly. They'd love to hear from you. That's 800-281-3189. Or just go to harmansolar.com.
My pain is considerable, but that prescription is dangerous.
The side effects of my medicine are worse than my condition.
I'm in recovery. I can't take those pills.
When faced with a health crisis, you shouldn't have to choose between risks.
At the Naturopathic Physicians Group in Scottsdale, our medical doctors are experts in full spectrum care using a natural approach. Patients come in for a variety of issues, including joint pain, chronic conditions, and issues specific to men's and women's health. Our naturopathic doctors can restore pain-free joint function and restore balance in immune, digestive, and hormone systems, which often improves immediate physical symptoms without having you take a bunch of pills. If traditional medicines aren't working, don't you think it's time to start feeling like yourself again? Call Naturopathic Physicians Group at 480-451-6161. That's 480-451-6161. Or go to naturopathicgroup.com.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double hot, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Hey, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Well, I do now.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
Did you say you're cutting me off?
You earn We Match, unlimited cashback match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
My name is Mary Grace. There are a few misconceptions about Alzheimer's. It's not just memory loss. It's the loss of mobility, the risk of falling.
For more information, contact the Alzheimer's Association at alz.org. Sponsored by the Alzheimer's Association.
Download our free sports app and stay up with all the latest sports news, scores, highlights, and more.
Or
stream us live anywhere
at 1580thefanatic.com.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic, Arizona's home for sports.
CK on the text line to talk to me about my drug status. Keon, yes, you were high thinking Willow Murray was any good. Look, man.
Questioning your sobriety.
I know. Just because it happens to be true. No, I'm kidding. But here's the thing with Kyler. The way he ended last season, I thought it was pretty reasonable to suspect another full season under his belt, an off season of work in the system. He was going to play better than that because he was pretty good to end last year. And he's playing like he did last year, which it was this up and down to end last year too. But there was some optimism because you're coming off the ACL. You're playing in a system that's brand new to you. And it looked pretty good. But what were the next steps beyond that? And there weren't any, is really what it feels like. And I'm sure the Cardinals, I'm not going to sit there and bash the Cardinals or bash Kyler Murray, because Kyler could go out there and have another game like he did against San Francisco, another one like he did against Buffalo or against the Rams. It's just, it's bipolar Kyler. Every week you get a different version of the guy. And to me, that's just not how you build a winning football team. You can't build a winning football team around somebody who you just from week to week, you don't even know if you're going to get the good or the bad version of that guy. The Bills are kind of going through that right now with Josh Allen, where it's like you get good Josh Allen and bad Josh Allen. And when you get bad Josh Allen, at least for the Bills, you don't win. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's get to this sport trade contest, and then we'll get to the rest of the best and worst of the weekend.
So who won?
Okay, so I thought you were going to explain the contest a little bit first before I just told you the winner. Hey, just we could have talked about this during the break. It could have come up, but we didn't.
We didn't. So obviously, I am not a mind reader here. That contest from last week through Sport Trade, what it took in order to win was you had to guess what the implied probability, what the percentage chance of the Arizona Cardinals to win the game against the Packers yesterday. You have to guess where that percentage was at halftime. Keon, who was the lucky winner?
Well, the implied probability given to us by Sport Trade, 11% at halftime for the Cardinals, which rules out just about every single person who participated, except for one. Lost Toby, with his 10% guess, is the only winner.
Let's go.
The only person underneath the 11% that the Cardinals had. Watch next week. We're going to get like 3% and 5%.
But you know what? I mean, this is what the fun part about the small tweak in, the format of how, Alex wanted to do this. Because the first week, it worked a little bit differently. You were trying to figure out what the highest percentage chance was during the first half. And obviously that can fluctuate. There's a lot of things that can impact that. Whereas when you're looking at where it's going to be at halftime, it's really just more about forecasting, where's that game at halfway through. So Lost Toby, being a 49ers fan, not having a lot of faith in the Cardinals, that paid off for him. So really, really excited for Lost Toby there. Congratulations. And make sure you guys tune in this coming Friday. Alex will be back on the show. We're going to continue to do this. There will be another $100 Amazon gift card and $50 credit to Sport Trade given out. And if you have won in the past, as Alex said last Friday, that does not exclude you from winning again. So this is something where, perhaps you get a knack for this and you can start kind of forecasting where that percentage is going to be. And, obviously, if you haven't already, make sure you get the Sport Trade account signed up so you can leverage that $50 of betting credit that they're going to give you as well. But going back to the, worst of the weekend stuff, as bad as the Cardinals were, Keon, your Commanders finally hit a little bit of a snag in the road. They were not able to defeat the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore yesterday. Final score was 30-23.
I wouldn't put that as a worst for me. Like it's a good test to figure out where that team is. The Commanders are not better than the Ravens. I picked them because the fact that I could even say it and nobody would laugh at me made me feel really good about myself. But that they're not better than the Ravens. The Ravens are what they are, as they have been built to be this for the last several years, right? We're going into year 6 of Lamar. So like the Ravens are the team that they are. The Commanders are still trying to figure that out. The Commanders are still very, very bad at defense. That's not new. Nothing about that was going to change. The Ravens put 500 yards of offense on this team. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass. And I actually thought the biggest mistake that they made was near the end of the game. They had a 4th down and it was kind of a decision and they decided to punt it and they never saw the football again. That because Derrick Henry is who he is. And when you get to the end of a game, you just give the ball to Derrick Henry over and over again. And against a team that can't stop it like that, well, guess what? That you're not going to win that game. I don't think that failure and success for the Commanders versus this team was ever going to come down to you win, you're successful, you lose, you're not. This was kind of a barometer because when you look at who they played before, the Bengals. What are the Bengals? Are the Bengals good? I don't think the Bengals are very good. You beat the Browns. The Browns aren't very good. They beat the Giants. The Giants aren't very good. Like the Commanders did beat a lot of teams that weren't good. So here's your first real test. A team with a defense and an offense. What can you do? They kind of held their own is what they did. So I came away pretty pleased with the way that they played in that game. And Jaden Daniels, again, looked good.
Well, and I guess I slated that under worst of the weekend just because I don't like to see Baltimore win anything.
Well, that's personally for you. Yeah, I mean,
that's where that came in. But I definitely agree. Jaden Daniels is just the real deal. I mean, he doesn't have the kind of weapons that Lamar Jackson has at his disposal, and
there's apparently 2 tight ends and a really great receiver. I mean,
we're watching Jaden Daniels every Sunday make something out of nothing.
And he didn't have a running game either to help him out. Brian Robinson, game time decision just wasn't able to go on Sunday, ruled him out of that game. He played the week before last second. This week, not so much. So he didn't get that help or that run support. And he was still able to figure out ways to get it done, move around in the pocket, extend plays. He's got a real connection building with Terry McLaurin, which is also very fun.
Well, and for what it's worth, I mean, Jaden got a new personal high on passing yards, 269 yesterday, threw for 2 passing touchdowns.
It wasn't happening on the ground. I can tell you that. He had 1 touchdown throw to McLaurin where it was just the ball was basically out of bounds and McLaurin had to reach out of bounds and grab it. And he was the only person who could get it. And he hauls it in. I think it's fair to say that Jaden Daniels is legit. Lamar Jackson agrees, by the way, after the game. He was just he made it a point to say how special he thought Jaden Daniels was. And when you're the original version of that guy,
well, now
that means a lot.
Commanders have their 3-game cakewalk coming up. It's the Panthers at home, Bears at home, on the road against the Giants.
That Bears game is shaping up to be really good. I don't know that one gets to count as a cakewalk anymore because Caleb looks like he's figuring it out, and the Commanders' defense is not going to stop him. They're clearly not going to offer very much resistance to Caleb Williams. So what looked like I don't know about this matchup, and if it's going to be any good, I hope that they're able to flex that one into prime time because I'm stunned it wasn't in the first place.
Right. I mean, you get the matchup of the top 2 draft picks. I mean, the top 2 quarterbacks who are actually both, because I mean, the other side of this is what's kind of the more rare thing is that both of them appear to be playing up to their potential.
Yeah.
I mean, we see year after year, multiple quarterbacks go, top 5 or top 10. And it's like only one of them pans out. And then the other 2 or 3, however many they are,
it's like 50-50. If the 4 guys go, 2 of them are good, 2 of them stink. And there's no way to know which guy is going to be the one, or you have one where it like appears as though one is better, like Mariota and Winston. Mariota looked better at first, and then I don't, for whatever reason, just didn't have the aggression to continue to push the football down the field, and just became like a real weird dink and dunk guy that just couldn't take advantage of the accuracy he showed in college. And then Jameis looked like he was surging there for a bit, but he could never stop throwing interceptions. So like sometimes you just get these weird career arcs, but yeah, never the 1 and 2 guy working out. And then Drake May yesterday, maybe the number 3 guy works out too. Like, I don't know. This is like, is this like that 84 draft with Jim Kelly and John Elway and Dan Marino, and you just end up with a bunch of great quarterbacks coming out of that class? Like maybe it is. Maybe this is the one.
Well, and again, I mean, it's hard to be a Cardinals fan and just kind of look at the lay of the land, see who's doing well, see who's on the horizon coming in, and you just can't help but think. I mean,
yeah,
what if we had one of those?
And like people are saying, like trade Kyler, and I just don't know. Again, you're gonna have to figure out what you're willing to get back for him. Is it just a get him off the roster kind of thing for you? Is that what that is? Because if you're just saying, hey, get him off the roster so we can put somebody else in there, we'll take the cap hit for a year, just go ahead and eat that, and then you're just done with it. Okay, fine. But, if it's you think you're going to get back for another first rounder for Kyler, no, you're not. You're also not getting a second. You're also not getting a third. You'll probably get a fourth. And if you're okay with that, cool. But just know that that's what that is.
Well, the last thing I just want to say about the worst of the weekend was really kind of strange day yesterday for injuries. I already mentioned Marvin Harrison going down. If you didn't see the video, it's honestly a little concerning. Just showed very clear symptoms of, what was later determined to be a concussion. He literally tried to get up from the field and just collapsed on his own. But outside of that, obviously we have what happened to Aiden Hutchinson, which is just a totally freak thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen it happen in different types of sports. It's not just something that's exclusive to football. Makes you think of Paul George way back when,
a little bit,
that Olympic tune-up game that was on national TV that they had to cancel because it's just such a gruesome injury. And
the thing with Hutchinson too is like you're in a game where like you're just killing these guys. Like it just is a sour note there to kind of wind up on, because he's playing well. And anytime you see these injuries, like we've gotten to the point where guys can actually come back from Achilles injuries and be all right, which is crazy to say, but that injury, that's a hit or miss one. Guys break the tibia, and there is no guarantee that you're the same player when you come back. Paul George isn't.
He's not, but
he's still great.
Still great. But no, you're right.
George,
it knocked him off of his arc. For sure.
Yeah, like there's a peak of his athleticism that he just wasn't able to get back to. Like the basketball IQ is through the roof, and obviously he's an insanely good shooter, so he was never going to fall completely off. But the Paul George before he got injured was just physically, just when he would jump, he could 360 up there. He could hang up there as long as he wanted to, and now he can't do that. His game is still great. He's still a fantastic player, but it's just not the same as it was. And I wonder if there isn't a little bit of athleticism for Hutchinson. He'll probably be fine because, you can't be that freakishly athletic and not be, but is there going to be a little bit of something taken off the top of his high end ability?
Perhaps. I know Dan Campbell's very confident in his ability to come back from that. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. We had a ball boy that got carted off yesterday in the Colts and Titans game. Keon, have you ever seen a head coach go into the blue tent?
That's the first. Jim Harbaugh, Chargers, had a heart arrhythmia, walked into the blue tent, had to sit down for a little bit because, everybody was trying to make sure the coach didn't have a heart attack on the sideline. So fair caution, but no, I don't think I've ever seen that.
So just a wild Sunday of injuries. Hopefully that's a trend that does not continue on the way that we just saw it. I know we need to kind of transition over to this game that we've got going on tonight.
Yeah, we have to get there, but really quickly, we've got a couple of texts in. Big Jake was saying fool's gold. We beat the Rams JV team. They were decimated with injury, which that didn't stop the Rams from turning around and beating. Who did they beat the next week? Was it
the Niners?
Was it the Niners? Yeah. I mean, it didn't stop them from beating the Niners. So, I mean, do with that information what you will. He says, apparently, Little Murray not using that word, man, is able to hang tight with a single team he's seen twice a year his whole career. He's always played the Niners tough, but on the flip side, he gets worked by the Hawks and the Rams. And yeah, like he just, there's a growth there that this year should have shown, and we have not seen it. We have not seen it. It did turn out to be fool's gold, Big Jake, just as a point of fact. Ninernapolis says, kind of random, but I need some expert advice. I have 8 out of 9 picks on the parlay and need a Bills victory to bring it home. Are there any good strategies for some type of guidelines on what percentage of cash I should hedge with on the Jets? The winnings are going to be $1,200 cash. The cash out is offering $400 on a $25 bet.
So here's the thing. I mean, you are correct in that you should probably hedge it. And I say that just because the Jets are priced as the underdog. So if you can find the Jets at even money or better, I would say leave it at your discretion at that point for how much you want to ultimately take back in the event that the Jets win. But I would definitely recommend a hedge. I mean, if your bet's only $25, at least put $25 on the Jets to win money line, just so that you're not going to lose anything. Maybe you want to kind of push that up a little bit higher, just so that you can secure some level of profit there. It could be 50, could be 100. But I'll leave that up to you. But I definitely agree. Your mind is in the right place. You definitely should look at a hedge just because of how that game is priced right now. It'd be a little bit different if the Jets were like an overwhelming, 7-point favorite and they're priced at -200 or -300. Something along those lines where it would take more money down to get the kind of return that you would want. That kind of a situation doesn't make as much sense. But since your parlay hinges on the Bills money line victory, definitely hedge it a bit with the Jets winning.
So there you have that, Ninernapolis, and I hope it helps you. CK says Cardinals should trade Webster for Sam Howell. I'm going to assume that like auto-corrected and he meant Kyler. Look, I like Sam Howell. I thought Sam Howell, when he was in Washington, was doing a whole lot with very little and play calling that was trying to get him actively killed. So I don't think that that's like the worst idea to just take a flyer on a guy that a lot of teams like, but I get the sense that the Seahawks like him enough that I don't know that they want to give Sam Howell up for a guy that, I don't think the Seahawks believe in Kyler any more than the Cardinals do, much less inside of the division. So my guess would be no on that one.
I would like to see the Cardinals figure out a way to get some assets for Kyler Murray and send him over to the Dallas Cowboys. Like, let's just put this whole Kyler Murray success in Dallas Cowboys Stadium to the test. He's undefeated there in high school. He's undefeated there as a pro. Like, let's just see it. Let's test it. Get him over to Dallas. Let Jerry handle him. Let's get some draft capital back.
I don't know how much you're going to get back. The Cowboys seem to not have enough every year. So
let's just give Trey Lance a shot then. I mean, at this point, maybe there's something there.
I don't know, but I don't think the problem in Dallas there was Dak yesterday. I mean, CeeDee Lamb was just locked up. I mean, I've never seen him so frustrated. He could not get open. He was fighting for his life. But anyway, we've got to get to a Monday Night Football game. We're going to break that down on the other side. Jets, Bills here on 1580 The Fanatic, and we're going to talk about it here on Beat the Book on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
It's fall football on The Fanatic. Catch all the live game play-by-play. Monday night, Thursday night, and Sunday day and night NFL games. Plus the Saturday NCAA football game of the week. It's all right here on the Valley's home for football. 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
4 years. That's how long it took Democrats to ruin our economy and plunge our southern border into anarchy. Who helped them hurt us? Ruben Gallego. Washington could have cut taxes for Arizona families, but Ruben blocked the bill. And his fellow Democrats gave a bigger break to the millionaire class in California and New York. They played favorites and cost us billions. And Ruben wasn't done yet. Democrats could have secured the border. Instead, they invited an invasion and used our tax dollars to pay for it. Ruben Gallego even backed the law to let them vote in our elections. Don't give Gallego and the Democrats another 4 years to hurt us. Give your support to a real Arizona leader, Carrie Lake. Carrie and the Republicans will secure the border, support our families, and never turn their backs on us. Carrie Lake for Senate.
I'm Carrie Lake, candidate for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Carrie Lake for Senate and the NRSC.
In most countries of the world, Porte means door. United Porte Custom Doors, located in the Scottsdale Airport Design District, is now open with over 40,000 European doors, all in stock, ready for delivery, and at wholesale prices. Designers, contractors, builders, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Porte, Porte. Stop by to see and feel the quality at United Porte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Everybody's got a podcast these days. Comedy, politics, true crime, you name it. But how many actually teach you anything useful? Harmon Solar has an entertaining podcast that is vital if you've been thinking about looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Ralph and Ben explore the intricacies of utilities, equipment, processes, and more. Their primary objective is to educate and empower you to make informed decisions on your solar journey. So increase your knowledge, not your bills. Go check it out right now. It's the Harmon Solar Podcast at harmonsolar.com.
1580 The Fanatic.
And at 1580thefanatic.com.
Your home for sports.
Bills versus Jets, and the AFC East getting a little bit weird, and somebody's trying to live the good life. Tonight, you got 3-2. The Bills, 2-3, the Jets, and the division could be, I don't want to say decided right here, but it's going to tilt in somebody's favor tonight. And we have some numbers for you that might help you decide what to do about that.
So Josh Allen in his career against the Jets, he's won 7 games out of 11. And when you look at the more recent games played between these teams, he has won 6 out of the last 8 matchups going back to 2020. And as the starting quarterback of the Bills, Josh Allen has not lost 3 games in a row. So Bills are coming into this one off of 2 straight losses. Jets are also coming into this one off of 2 straight losses. And, you know, their last game was the one in London. So then there's the whole logistics of, you know, flying there, flying back, getting over the jet lag, all that good stuff. Then you pepper in for the Jets the fact that they just booted their coach, and that whole thing, you know, we haven't really talked about it yet on this show. Just a really bizarre, strange situation. And I thought that it was still going to be a hotter topic by now. It kind of feels like it's simmered down a little bit.
A little bit, just because, again, the details are so scarce. Nobody's trying to jump to any conclusions and then be absolutely wrong about whatever you think is going on in New York.
Well, and it's weird, I guess, the kind of motions that it's gone through, because as soon as it was announced, you know, a lot of shock, a lot of confusion, a lot of emotions. Naturally, the fingers get pointed towards Aaron Rodgers. You know, we've just talked about how this is, you know, something that behind closed doors with, you know, the other team that he's been on in his career, you know, he has strong opinions, and he's very particular about the, you know, personnel that he wants around him and the things that he wants to do on the field. So it seemed kind of natural that, you know, perhaps this was Aaron Rodgers pulling some strings, you know, trying to shape this organization the way he wants it to be. Then you have the owner of the Jets, Woody Johnson, coming out and swearing that Aaron has nothing to do with it. Aaron went on the Pat McAfee show and said as much. And this was just some brilliant decision from Woody Johnson that, you know, enough was enough, and he just needed to pull the plug. And again,
in the middle of the season, before week 6, a thing that no team has ever done, and managed to find themselves in the playoffs with the exception of exactly one team.
I mean, it's just odd because, I mean, Woody Johnson has owned the Jets for a very long time. He's not some newbie owner that's coming in and trying to spice things up and, is working from some like uneducated, inexperienced, kind of opinion on things. I mean, this is someone that's been within the NFL for a very long time that, wouldn't make this kind of a move with their team, having their next game be a primetime national TV game where, this is going to be the chatter all throughout. Like they just wouldn't do this unless there was, good reason for it. Now there's new storylines coming out. And again, this is just talk and speculation that perhaps this could have been something related to something completely off the field that has nothing to do with football or the Jets, where it could be some geopolitical tie to, how Woody Johnson and how Robert Saleh feel about Lebanon and, things going on overseas. So
which I sure hope that's not the reason. I mean, I'm very big on if you have a team, through thick and thin, you stick it out. But always under that is the idea that my team is trying to win. They may be bad at it. They may be poorly run. They may be incompetent, but they're at least trying to win. If you start making football decisions based on things that are happening in the Middle East, you are an idiot. And you should have your football team ripped away from you because you're wasting everybody's time. If that's what it is, we're talking about just mismanagement of a football team. There are people here who are putting their actual bodies on the line, and you fired the coach because you couldn't ride it out to the end of the season. Like your quarterback is 40 years old, and you couldn't ride that out to the end of the year. The Jets are a deeply unserious football organization. I just can't.
I completely agree with all of that. And there's something about that angle that at least seems to explain the horrible timing of this, along with Aaron Rodgers, just, very blatant, very clear, like this was not me. For as much as we were kind of giving him crap for that and, trying to poke holes through his defense, and kind of poking at, well, how credible is Aaron Rodgers and his word? Perhaps it is something that is completely unrelated to football. And if that is the case, then yes, Keon, you're completely correct. That is just not decision-making that you should ever see from an NFL owner, something geopolitical influencing your football decisions.
Your football team in New York. And the problem with trying to figure out whether or not that's the truth is that, sure, that could explain the timing of the firing. You know what else could explain the timing of the firing? They're the Jets. That's what they do. Being stupid and making decisions that make no sense to that football team. It's exactly the kind of thing that they do. It's their MO. It's what they're about.
If you haven't figured it out already, Keon and I are very much on the Buffalo Bills to win this game tonight. You can take them on the money line. There are 9 other bets that were posted today on the Beat the Book website for this game. Make sure you check those out and be sure to tune in tomorrow. We are almost there for the NBA season. We're a little bit over a week out. Keon and I have some more insight that we want to share with everyone. A lot of good NBA futures bets to look at putting in, and take us home, Keon.
We are talking NBA tomorrow. We'll also talk about the Monday Night Football game going on tonight. Jets Bills right here on 1580 The Fanatic, right after the Daily Blender, right after this show. And, well, we're all out of this show. So have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.